Thank you and welcome to the show for today. You are watching Perspectives and I am host Alana McLaughlin. This morning on the show I have Anjlee Khurana and Erica Baker of Prolific Entertainment Law, here to discuss their backgrounds, their educations, their careers, and ultimately the impact that they seek to leave on Nashville through their work. Ladies, thank you for joining me this morning. And for this first segment, I'd like to just set up what baby years look like for you both. Tell me a little about where you're from, kind of what early childhood looked like for you, and set up just baby years, as I like to say.
Well, thank you so much for having us. For me, I'm from Baltimore, and I would say that I grew up in a situation where my parents really loved their jobs, and my dad would come home from work and he would work at home for fun, just study and do more. And so I grew up watching people work for the love of the work, and as a result, I think that money doesn't really satisfy me, and I really learned I had it instilled in me that you could live that way and that you should live that way. So to me, that's kind of where I ended up and how I ended up. That's how my childhood brought me to where I am today, because that's what we do. We work on things that matter to us.
Yeah, so for me, I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. Grew up in a very cultured jazz city. It was very live music focused, so music was always around. My family was big on just karaoke at the house, so it was just always an enjoyable, creative space. I started taking piano when I was 12, so a little bit past baby years, but just really grew up in music and learning music, and that's where it really started, the love of creativity and creatives.
So now take me through middle and high school. Take me through just the matriculation of yourselves. Tell me just a little bit about the hobbies that you were into, and where did the interest in law come, specifically entertainment law, come about in your journeys? That may even be as far as college, but just take me through that later part of that adolescence.
Well, I was always into music. That was always my favorite class. I sang my whole life. That was my activity. Those were my friends. I liked music. I liked theater. So when I went to college, that was what I wanted to focus on. And in college, you get to choose your community for the first time. So being in that, having that choice for the first time, I surrounded myself with musicians. All of my friends were musicians. And we would, I had a friend watch Tick, Tick, Boom and say, there's a scene where everybody, erupts into song together. And they're like, that's so unrealistic. I was like, is it? Because that's the way that my college life was. Yeah. So I surrounded myself with music people. And then, when we graduated, all of us kind of threw our hats in and tried to do this and become starving artists. And then in that position, I started to get a sense of the obstacles that an artist is up against when all they're trying to do is get their work out there, which is something that has benefited me and blessed me my whole life. You're right. Music has given me everything that I love and get up for in the morning. Yeah. So I wanted to protect those people. Those are my own. I wanted to protect my own. So it was that moment that I decided to go to law school. I went to law school to become an entertainment lawyer and protect artists.
So you knew just off bat. And Miss Erica, kind of tell me that same matriculation.
Yeah, I think the reason why we relate so much is we have such a similar story. Like I said, I grew up, and music really helped me gain my confidence. Like when I started lessons, every year we would have a recital. And I just remember doing my first solo and I couldn't even come in. And the person was like, time to come in. And I was like, but each year I got more confident. And I really understood how music was valuable and how it really helped development. And when I went to college, I was actually thinking like, oh, well, I can do a music minor and be a business major so I can go to law school. And the chair of the music department was like, why don't you call the top law schools, ask them what major you have to have. And so I called them and it was like, they were like, we don't care, just do well. And so I was like, okay, well, music is challenging, piano is challenging, you have to have discipline, and that's similar to law school. So I chose that path, and I just think that I've always wanted to touch music and creativity. And I also went to college knowing I wanted to do law. And I think like the seed started when I was younger. I was very inquisitive, I was very talkative, and people would just say, you should be a lawyer, you like to argue. And I'm like, I'm a kid, so I'm like, well, I guess I should be a lawyer. And it just always stuck with me, and I just understood later that oh, I'll be able to protect people. So that's why I went to law school.
And in our second segment, we're going to pick back up on law school experiences. We're going to talk about how you guys kind of saw the moving music industry, saw where the need was, how you saw your peers affected by the music industry, and how it turned into prolific law. I encourage our viewers to tune into the second segment of Perspectives, where we will return to discuss these two ladies' backgrounds, educations, careers, and the impact that they seek to leave on Nashville through their work. The second segment of the show for today. For viewers just tuning in, I am host Alana McLaughlin. You are watching Perspectives. This morning I've had Anjlee Khurana and Erica Baker of Prolific Entertainment Law here in a law firm based here in Nashville, and we're discussing these ladies' backgrounds, educations, careers, and ultimately the impact that they seek to leave on Music City through their work. In our first segment, my two guests set up their early lives, their early backgrounds, and now we're talking collegiate and specifically law school era. We're talking about what inspired these ladies specifically to pursue entertainment law, and we're going to just continue the conversation of what they do and how it's impacting Nashville. We're coming right back in. We're at the point now where both of you are in law school. Tell me where you went to school. Tell me just some of the experiences that you had throughout law school, and ultimately how it helped you kind of pinpoint that entertainment law was the road to go.
Well, as I said earlier, I knew when I went to law school that I wanted to practice entertainment law. So for me, it was important to, they don't have majors in entertainment law, or in anything in law school. So it was important for me to go to one of the three major cities where the industry exists, because that's the only way I was going to get taught by actual practitioners. So I went to the best school I got into in Nashville, New York, or LA, and that was Vanderbilt. So that's how I ended up coming here. And I did think I was gonna go back to New York, honestly. I'd come from New York, and it was just, New York feels like everything kind of when you're there. And so it was just my assumption that, well, why would I be someplace else?
Right.
But I don't know why I thought that, because I never met a lawyer in New York who wasn't miserable.
Real.
And they all, like the schedules they keep, and they're expected to eat at the office and not have personal lives, and God forbid you have children and have some other thing that needs your attention. So, I'm not sure why I wanted to do that. And then when I came to Nashville, which was a much smaller town when I came here, it wasn't like that. There was room for people to have personal lives. And in fact, I would hear stories of successful entertainment lawyers who were being encouraged to go home at 6 o'clock and spend time with their families. So to me, it was like, whoa, well, this is better. And Nashville was also my first experience. Like I said, when I went to college, you choose your own community. And so I was surrounded by musicians because that was the community that I chose. Those were my people. And then I came to Nashville, and the whole city is audiophiles. Everybody cares about music. Different skill sets, but everybody cares deeply about music. And finding that community and just being surrounded by those people was kind of a dream come true. There was no reason to leave. And I would not go back. New York doesn't hold my heart the way that it used to. Nashville is home, and I will probably stay here my whole life.
And
I was gonna say, and I think
before, and I want to throw in a question real quick for both of you all before I talk about your law school experience. Entertainment law, to someone totally ignorant to that category of law, obviously it involves entertainment, but if you could put it in a sentence or two, what does entertainment law tackle? And I'd like to hear from both of you.
I think that it tackles pretty much any type of area that you touch, whether it's business, whether it's intellectual property. It's not the law that makes it entertainment, it's the client. So if the client is in the industry, then that's entertainment law. But entertainment law is made up of a lot of different facets, contracts, business formations, intellectual property. So those are generally things that they see that are protected for their specific circumstance. But yeah, it's really more so about the client base.
Now that's a really cool perspective. Would you kind of agree?
Absolutely, I agree. I mean, it really is a matter of it's contracts and it's business. And even litigation, but all specific to that industry. So do I feel like other lawyers maybe don't have as much focus on intellectual property, and it's not the thing that's being traded and the asset of value? yeah, that's definitely true. But other than that, it's just about knowing how to represent your client within their industry and, you know, their options and their choices.
And Miss Erica, I know I'm going like back and forth, but thank y'all for staying with me.
Yes.
When you were entering law school, did you kind of like Miss Anjlee know that you wanted to go into entertainment, or is it something that you kind of figured out during
Oh, no. I mean, that was, as soon as I made those calls my freshman year of college, the plan was set. There was no deviation. I'm very much a person that once I set a plan, I stick to it. I think I'm maybe like a type A personality. But so when I was in law school, like she said, you don't really get to like specialize or major. So once I got through my general classes that everybody has to take, I did my best to take contracts. I took my writing requirement. I took an intellectual property writing requirement. And so one of our first assignments was to argue that there was a infringement from the Hunger Games and Katy Perry's fire dress in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And so that really, I was like, oh, okay, now I see how you can take the law that seems, you know, general, and it's really just about application. And so that kept the fire of, I'm gonna do this for musicians. And then while I was in law school, I wrote music, I performed, I created open mics, you know, so it just—
Still does.
Yeah, that's just the Kansas City in me. Like Kansas City is a big music place, and so it's just instilled very early, and I just always knew.
Now, ladies, upon graduation, you've completed law school. Where does prolific law come into play? How was that born?
I would say it was born out of scarcity. When I was in Kansas City, Missouri, while I say it is a live music place, so it's not really a pipeline for industry there. And because I knew that's what I wanted to do, I did not get a first job in that. I got a first job in civil litigation. So I started that kind of to be on the side. And then just to have the opportunity to present myself that way. And then when I moved to Nashville, you know, my thought process was, I'm just gonna go get a job, work for another firm, work for a label or something like that. And things just didn't play out the way that I thought they would. And I met Anjlee, and we were friends for like 2 years. And when we both kind of came to a point of, you know, what else can we do for— yeah, let's just do it ourselves. And so I told her, like, hey, I kind of started this brand previously. I think it could really be big if we come together. And that's really just how it happened. She was just like, yeah, I mean, why not? Like, so, yeah.
Now, hearing Erica talk about this, I mean, what was your reaction? How did you feel about it?
I mean, it was a bold suggestion. I certainly wasn't expecting it. I was like, wow, that's a, you know, but it was, but it didn't take me long to be like, okay, yeah, let's do that. Because it's not, I mean, I've been practicing law for a very long time, so I felt like this is something I know how to do, and I've been self-employed. So I felt like I know how to start a practice. But it's always been like, oh, you start a practice because you want to work as a lawyer, right? And it's nothing more than setting up to work as a lawyer. And this made it a mission. You know, this made it, you know, not just a goal of, I'm going to get work and I'm going to support myself, but I'm going to do something in this community.
And
you
change something.
Yeah.
And really kind of impact communities. And in our final segment, we're going to discuss seriously how you guys have impacted your clients, how you guys have impacted Nashville, and ultimately the impact that you seek to continue having on our community. And I encourage viewers to tune into the final segment of Perspectives, where we will return to discuss prolific law, these two ladies' backgrounds, educations, their careers, and ultimately the impact that they seek to leave on Music City. Welcome to the final segment of the show for today. For viewers just tuning in, I am host Alana McLaughlin, and you are watching Perspectives. This morning, I'm discussing Prolific Law. This is an entertainment law firm based in Nashville, Tennessee. I have Miss Anjlee Khurana and Miss Erica Baker of Prolific here discussing their backgrounds, their educations, the impact that they've had on their clients, and the impact that they seek to continue having on Nashville. We're coming right back in. I want to talk everything Prolific. Tell me services offered, kind of target audience for this firm. And I guess when a client walks through the door and they say, I'm a singer, I'm an entertainer, and I need some help, what's day one of like helping this client?
Well, step one is an initial consultation.
Yeah.
And then also, once we do the consultation, we kind of get a feel for what the person may need. We make suggestions like, you know, I think we can help you this way, or I think we can help you that way. And I think the two pillars of our firm are community engagement and accessibility. And I think the accessibility part is where we're open to allow people to approach us. If we're out at an event, you can come up to us. So I think it starts at the time that the relationship starts, the first interaction, and allowing the client to get comfortable with us, because the search for a lawyer is a very intimate relationship, and you really want to make sure that you trust that person and you feel safe. So I think step one is establishing the trust, showing that the knowledge is there, and then ultimately the client can decide, you know, is this something that I want to invest in? Is this something that I see myself using or utilizing?
And what are some of the services that you guys offer?
Well, we're primarily entertainment lawyers,
Okay.
so anything entertainment across the board. But we both have experience in a lot of other areas, and they're listed on our website. And you know, even if it's not something that you see there, like I said, we have a lot of experience. Call us and talk to us, and we'll try to help you. You know, if we can help you, we will. And it doesn't matter what your issue is, and that's the only way to find out, you know, if it's a good match, right? Is for us to just try it out.
Right.
Now, I'd say, I'm going to scenario real quick. A comedian walks in. A comedian says, hey, I'm doing stand-up. I did a stand-up show at Zany's, but then this guy just went on SNL, and I think he took my entire set. And I know that's like a hypothetical, but it's a pretty real scenario. Where do we start with this client? I think we've already established he's an entertainer, he's a comedian, he's working at Zany's, his stuff has been taken to SNL. What would we do in that situation?
Well, I think, I mean, it's an infringement situation. So the first thing we want to know, we're going to ask all the questions we can ask to really understand, well, what did you say? What did they say? You know, we may even ask them to send it to us, because, I mean, infringement is going to have certain elements that you have to prove. And I think that specific situation is really like a complicated situation.
It's actually a really tough one.
Yeah,
and that's awesome.
yeah, because it's like, are they infringing your brand? Are they infringing your, do you even have this segment copyrighted? I mean, I think that's where the expertise in not just intellectual property, but what do they consider to be creative? What do they consider to be protective? So, I mean, we could talk for hours just on that scenario. So that's really complicated.
That's a tough one, because copyright applies to things that are, quote, fixed in a tangible medium of expression. And then you have a deposit copy that you can file. But a comedian, what's the deposit copy look like, right? And a lot of the stuff is on the fly, on the stage. It's still a creative expression, but it can't be registered at that point. So I think you run into a lot of issues. And again, there would be a lot of questions. We would ask a lot of questions.
So cool. I hope there's a comedian right now saying, I'm calling them Monday morning. Guys, being in Nashville, do you find that a lot of your clients tend to be musicians?
I think our clients are across the board, and what I like to call our clients, because this is a part of building the brand, our creatives. Every single person is a creative. If you have an idea and you bring it to the world, you brought something to the world that wasn't there. And those are who our clients are. So that could be a musician, that could be a filmmaker, that could be a business person, that could be a tech person who's writing code, who's creating a software, who's creating a process. So we don't want to limit and say, because we're in entertainment, we only represent artists. We only represent music. We represent creatives. That's our brand.
And I know that I've done a lot of tech work and a lot of startup work. And for me, that was actually a really easy transition for that reason, because they feel similar. They have a real sense of mission, right? Like, I created something, this is important, this is why it's important, and I want to get it out in the world. That's a lot like an artist. And that's how I came to have that viewpoint, you know, that they're creatives everywhere, and that anyone who wants to put something out in the world is somebody that I want to support. And that's what both of us want. That's what we were able to come together on and say, you know what, we should be doing this together.
Guys, tell me the impact that you'd like to leave on Nashville through this work. I know that kind of in our first two segments, we spoke a little bit about protecting our people, protecting the gifts and the work that means something to them. But just in your own words and right now, what is the impact through kind of fighting the good fight that you'd like to leave on Nashville?
Yeah, I think it's about creating exposure to diverse representation. I think everybody has a preference when you search for, a hairdresser or a barber. Like, you get to choose what relates to you. And I think in Nashville, we want to be a diverse option. We want people to see that if this is your preference, that we're here. And we also want to increase the community. That's why I said our clients, we call them prolific creatives. We want to build this area that feels safe, that people can be educated, that people can connect with each other. We want our clients to be educated, because an educated client is a better client.
Yes.
And that is why Nashville means so much. That's why Music Row means so much, because that's where we want it to be. We want it to be on Music Row. We wanted people to be exposed and see, there's options that can meet your personal preferences if that's what you're looking for.
Yes.
And so, yeah.
And I think that we're, just like we felt like there was a hole and an opening for us, a gap where we would offer something that other people wouldn't. I think that we don't want to just fill that gap with ourselves. We'd like to fill it out for real. So I think, in the future, what we want to do is be able to grow this brand so that there's more of us, that we hire more people like us.
Yes, women, minorities, it's awesome. I want to say you guys are the only female fronted and minority kind of fronted entertainment law firm here in town.
Well, I wouldn't say here in town, but I would say as far as being on Music Row, like I said, that's why that was so important to us. I mean, Music Row is such a historic place that has a lot of prestige. And I did Google, I did search and say, who are these type of law firms in this area? And so I can't say that in the entire city, but I will say that in that area, we wanted to really show that, we're here too. And if you want to find us.
Music Row.
Yes.
Music Row. Where all the Music Row people are. So you don't have to go look for us someplace else. If you're trying to do Music Row stuff, we're right there.
And I want you to plug in these last 2 minutes, plug in location, contact, hours, just ways that creatives can get in touch with y'all.
Yeah.
Our website, and it's all listed on our website,
Yes.
prolificlaw.info, and you can reach us through a contact page. Our socials are listed there. Our emails are listed there. We go out to a lot of events, and we're always open. We have a free 15-minute initial consultation. So we encourage, this is about access. We want you to be able to find us. Yes. So we're going to be available every way that we can.
Right. And like I said, we're looking to do more panels. We're looking to, volunteer and have partnerships with other organizations. We've done things with Home. We've had virtual seminars with them. We volunteer with the Nashville Industry Fund, and we work with them. So we're really looking to be out here. Like I said, accessibility, community engagement, those are our two guiding lights and our guiding principles. And you can find us anywhere.
And thank you, ladies, just for sharing your stories with me and for sharing your time with me this morning. Also, especially want to thank y'all for the work that you do. I had no clue that entertainment law ran so deep. I had no clue that it covered so much ground. And that's really awesome. I think especially in the current age we're in, everyone's in media, everyone's podcasting and all that, and we kind of need protection with that. So thank you all for being here and for being accessible. And to our viewers, thank you for the opportunity to share one more perspective. Good morning.